introduce to you Mike Williams from North Carolina, and of course, Imagine Hypnotics.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Mike. I tell you something. You know, you gotta live. I tell you, past life regression. I keep telling you, I need some of that. I gotta find out where I came from.
Well, then we should set up an appointment. I'd be more than happy to do a session for you.
Oh, let me tell you, I don't know where I came from, but wherever I came from, it had to be interesting. That's for sure.
No, you did a lot of interesting things because you had a lot of lives.
Lots? Forget about it. I don't have enough fingers and toes to go into that part. But you know what? Let's go into something else. Imagine Hypnotics. Now, the first time I talked to you, this is the third time now you're on the show.
Right.
And out of every single time that I've talked to you on the show and about this, there have been people that noticing your show, not your show, but your place of business a little bit. How's business? I mean, people that have been going up there to actually go and find out something that they should have known a long time ago.
Well, business is very healthy. It's going well, and what's happening, Bob, is throughout the population, more and more people are really getting into the spirituality and understanding that there is this part of them called spirit, and they're getting real curious about past lives and life between lives, time in the astral and stuff like that. So about 50% of my practice has to do with spiritual hypnosis.
I'm really, really hoping that a lot of people that have the same, I would say, curiosity that I do, because I mean, I would really, I'd be the first one that would turn around and say, okay, where'd I come from? I mean, I've had people tell me where I came from. I mean, we've got psychics and things that tell me that I'm anything from Mexico to Egypt.
Right.
In between there somewhere.
Yeah, and it's interesting. What I explain to people is, if you want your past life experience, what you should do is go experience it for yourself. Now, I'm not taking anything away from anybody who does past life type of psychic work, so I don't want to knock anybody, but in that situation, you're having somebody tell you about your past lives. Now, wouldn't it be a lot more interesting if you were able to experience that past life yourself? Essentially, you can tell yourself about your past lives. You can experience it again, and you can understand the connections from that life into your current life. So, and that intrigues a lot of people, because I do get people who say, hey, I went to a psychic or somebody who did a past life reading, but I really want to come to you now, and I really want to experience it for myself.
Here's a question for you that I think somebody had sent me an email about it once. When you do it, when you take someone back and to a past life, or you hypnotize them back to their past life and things, is that kind of sort of like, I don't know, like maybe there's a gene in us somewhere that's like a memory chip?
I don't think it's a gene aspect of it. I mean, that's my personal view.
I'm just using that as a reference.
Yeah.
There's got to be something psychically, spiritually inside of us, built into us.
Well, exactly. And what that is we are spiritual beings. We are divine beings. And so we have innate ability to be able to connect into expanded consciousness, into superconsciousness, which takes us into those past life memories, which will take us into the astral. But, what we have in society today, as I know that you're well aware of, is indoctrination, which says you don't have these abilities. What you are is just this physical being on this earth. You don't have any abilities outside of your immediate mind, body, any expanded consciousness or talk of that stuff. That's just, that's crazy stuff. It's New Age stuff. And, that stuff really doesn't exist. But the truth of the matter is, it does exist. And we should be able to tap into it when we need to in order to receive our guidance and our connection to spirit.
But what's really funny? It's, when you were younger and I was younger, and that we grew up in a society that is the way they thought.
Yes.
You is what you is. When you're gone, you're gone. And it wasn't until maybe, I don't know, for me anyway, it's got to be about 25 years ago, but some people didn't wake up till about 10 years ago. when you started thinking out of the box a little bit to say, like, okay, maybe I was somewhere before, you know?
Right.
And now, just now, it's coming to the point where people are actually noticing they were from somewhere else, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, well, like you said, going back in time, we were taught that was the indoctrination. Even institutionalized religion, had parameters and rules and said you can only believe this way. But effectively what happens is there's a lot of people out there that have different types of experiences, but then they don't want to talk about it, because if they talk about it, they're going to be told, oh, that doesn't exist, or, you're just imagining things, especially when you're a kid. I had a lot of experiences when I was a kid that told me that things weren't exactly the way I was being told they were, that I knew that there were other dimensions or, expanded consciousness. Even though when I was a kid, I really didn't know what that stuff was. I knew that there was other stuff out there.
Yeah, well, we both watched Star Trek, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, there you go. I mean, look at all the things that we watched, like Uncle Martin. That was the Martian, Uncle Martian or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, they had all those crazy shows on. And if you go back on YouTube and you see some of those shows and you listen to some of the things they said, it's very relative to right now.
Yes. Yeah.
It is. Somebody set that stuff up, and they really weren't thinking it up. They were just telling what was on their mind.
Right. Well, I think it's the Rand Corporation that actually they had kind of formulated Star Trek. A lot of people don't know that. So when you take a look at what Rand Corporation's involved in today, it makes it kind of interesting, right? That all of a sudden all this technology that was shown in Star Trek, and people are sitting today saying, wow, all that stuff, or just most of that stuff has come to fruition, it was manifested. Isn't that amazing? Well, is it amazing, or is it basically, an organization or corporation that, like Rand, that has a very good understanding of what that technology is, even back then, and what it would be used for in the future?
It's so funny, though, because, in fact, I had sent back an email to someone the other day, because they were teasing me about it. There, in that particular show, and it just so happens we happen to be talking about it, but Star Trek, and that you see these people in that on these consoles, and they touch this little screen. Right. It's in black and white. It's in black and white, though. And they touch these little screens and things, and they get an answer from this and an answer from that. Well, now we got them in the middle of the console on the car.
Right.
So, I mean, it's like, hey, who would have thunk,
Exactly. Well, when you look at Star Trek, too, even beyond the technology, they talked about other planets, other beings, sentient beings, that type of thing there. So there's a lot more going on there than Gene Roddenberry just, having this stuff come to him in a dream.
He was maybe the wine or something. I don't know, but he was out there, but he was out there with a groove. Believe me.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. Now you also do spiritual exploration.
Right.
What is spiritual exploration? I mean, is it to past life and that and go and see somebody? Is it that you're going to go to another planet?
Basically, it comes in three flavors. The first would be the past life regression, and then I also now do life between lives, which is taking folks into the astral, into the spirit world. I been trained in the Michael Newton technique on that. I went to class back in April on this. But there's also an aspect that I do, Bob, which is just taking the client into a very, very deep theta state and getting them to essentially go into the astral, where they can, meet their soul groups, where they can essentially have these telepathic discussions with their guides and their teachers. And a lot of clients do that because what they want to do is they want to be able to go to that higher self, that soul self, and their teachers and their guides in order to bring perspective, in order to bring guidance into their life. So I do a lot of that type of work also.
So this is actually what they're trying to do is they're trying to reset their life.
Yeah. What they're trying to do is a lot of times folks will come in and they'll say, I'm really struggling. I have a lot of challenges, and I just feel misguided. I don't feel like things are connecting. My relationships aren't going very well. And they'll want to come in and start really trying to get a reset. they realize that something is askew, something is not plugged in right, is not connected right, or they've gone astray. And what they want to do is they want to start getting that balance and that harmony back in their life. And they have that realization that in order to do this, they have to bring that spiritual aspect into their life. They have to bring it in. It's not a life without the spirituality. The life without spirit is going to be a life that's going to be missing a lot of parts. And many, many more people now are realizing this, and that's why they're going back to spirit.
Can you do that though? Be without spirit?
Well, I think there are people that I think there's a lot of people that don't give spirit any thought at all. It's not that their spirit's not there. I'm not saying that their soul's not there, their spirit's not there, but they don't focus on it at all. They just go about their lives, and there is no creator, there is no source, there is no God, there is no higher cause, there is no higher being, all that stuff. I think there's a lot of people that walk around like that. And I think that, it's a lot of reasons why we have a lot of problems in the world, because some people are just so disconnected from source that, they have no empathy.
No, I was going to say, you're talking about the government?
Yeah, well, they would be one example.
I mean, you just, I tell you, you just define them right to the T, because it's all there.
Yeah.
I mean, see, you better set up an office right down the block from the Capitol.
I probably won't get a lot of business, though, because there's a lot of unempathetic people there.
No, you may get a lot of business then only because they want to see what they're missing.
Yeah, I would love to teach them, believe me.
Come on, would any guys have to go out to Las Vegas and dance all over the place on your dime? That's the thing. I tell you, they need you.
Yeah, well, I would like to sit down with some of them and get some things straightened out, really, because the world can use it.
I'm serious. Yeah, this is. I mean, it's not funny. I mean, that's some real stuff. I mean, what he just said, that people that without spirit could be without feelings,
right,
and all these other things. Nobody, like for instance, I know we have so many people that in this world. I was going to say our country, but you can't even leave it there. You got to go bigger. In our world, that turn around and don't want you to know. There are things out there that we should know, that we could know,
absolutely,
that we don't. Because nobody will tell us because they don't want you to know.
Right.
Why?
Power. It's power. It's power and control.
But that's also no spirit.
Right. Right. There's a lot of hidden and forbidden knowledge. And going back to even archaeology, mainstream archaeology doesn't want us to know what the alternative archaeologists are looking at, or the alternative geologists or historians and researchers. And they don't want us to know because if we know, then it's going to open up the aperture, and it's going to open up a can of worms, and people are going to start questioning everything that we've ever been taught, everything we've ever been shown. And like I said, when they keep that stuff hidden, it's the occult, then they maintain their control and they maintain their power. And that's what they're looking for, control and power.
We got to do something about this.
Yes, we do.
We got to do something about this. I mean, if everybody out there that's listening and everything else, and if you just kind of sort of like sat down there for a couple of minutes and throw everything that you're thinking about and that you're busy with that's in your life right now, just throw it out one ear or something, kind of clear your mind in that for a minute, and then just think about what you could do to stop what's going on. And wouldn't it be a good thing to do for everybody?
Absolutely. The problem, Bob, is so many people are so indoctrinated in their ways. We have to realize that what's been going on in society, especially the Western civilization, is decades and decades of indoctrination through television and through propaganda and so on. And people have defined what they've been told as that's their reality, that's their life. And it's very difficult for people to break through that paradigm. And once they do try to start breaking through that paradigm, when they start peeking behind the curtain and they see the actual truth, a lot of people get very scared. They don't like what they see. And so that's why, in my view, it's a very slow process of getting society and getting the planet awakened, so that people can really see what's really going on and what the truth really is.
And that would be a good thing for everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
All around the world. If somebody was going to take, say, a life between life session with you, how long is a session like that?
That session can run 4 to 5 hours. That's a very long session, but it's an unbelievable session. I tell my clients that is the experiencing true expanded consciousness. But this is, life between lives is going beyond the past life memories. This is now where you enter into the astral, into the spirit world, and you're there with your soul group. You're meeting with your guides, your teachers. You actually meet with your council of elders, and visit other areas within the spirit world. That you participate in. It could be classes, it could be studies, it could be, what you do up there for entertainment, and so on and so forth.
Okay, if that is the truth, then what? I mean, do they just go into this area and you can more or less go have a pizza while they're there?
No. It's the biggest piece with the spiritual hypnosis, the past lives and the life between lives, is you have to go to a practitioner who is very skilled, because there is a lot of navigating that takes place. Because if, for instance, if we just take a past life as an example, if I back somebody into a past life and they wind up, the initial scene is they're in a field, and they could wind up in that field initially being a little confused. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why this field means something. So if you're working with a hypnotherapist that's not skilled in the navigating and understand how to work this, the client's going to be sitting in this field for a very long time and not understanding what's going on. So an experienced hypnotherapist who's skilled in regression will be able to navigate that client to points so that the dots start to get connected and that scene starts to make sense. And then we can proceed with the session, and everything starts to fall into place for them. And it's the same thing with the life between lives. Once you get the client, they go to the death scene and the soul ascends and goes to the spirit world, the hypnotherapist has got to be skilled to navigate, to be able to help the soul to go here, go there, in the spirit world. Now, some souls don't need any help. I will say that. Some of them will go on their own. They will go visit. Other souls need a little help with some navigating. And once you get them, some help, they typically pick up the pace, they get some traction, and they do what they have to do in the spirit world. But there's still a lot of structure and navigating that the practitioner applies to make sure that the client gets as much as they possibly can out of the session.
Does anybody ever come out of those sessions now with like a I would say kind of sort of a like a clairvoyant kind of feeling to their life, like they know more, they're aware of more in their life?
What happens is many times they come out of the sessions, whether it be an LBL or a past life regression, but the LBLs, are, in my view, extremely an awakened moment for the client. They will come out with a new sense of understanding, and that really opens up their mind. It opens up their lives to the bigger picture. So whereas if they came in before and they were like, oh, my life is really hard, it's, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that, and then when they go through those sessions and when they come out of those sessions, now they understand what the life is about. It's about lessons. It's about learning. It's about increasing your capacity for wisdom, your capacity for love, unconditional love. And then they understand why they have these relationships, why these relationships are struggles, because we're learning from each other. Many times when we come down here and we have interaction with various people in our lives, that interaction was figured out before we came down here. These were what we call agreements or contracts that were formed before we came down here. That I was going to meet you at a certain time, and we were going to have this type of relationship, and it was going to have its ups and downs, or we were going to get divorced, or it was going to be a happy time, whatever it may be. But what happens is where before they came in, they really didn't have any sense of what it was all about because the dots weren't connected. Once they come out of that past life session or that LBL, many of those dots are connected, and they really have a true sense of what they're about and what their life's about.
So they actually go to the place there that we're told that when you die, supposedly, and then you go back and someone shows you your life.
Yep, that's right. Right. So what happens is when you're up in the spirit world, you're coming down for another incarnation. All of the logistics, many of the logistics are planned out. Now, it's not robotic. In other words, you still have free will, but you come down here and you say, okay, I'm going to work on the following things. I have a pattern of behavior that I really need to work on to overcome. I had many lives where I struggled with self-confidence, as an example. So you'll come down here and you will work on a life where you increase your self-confidence. But it gets complicated, and I always explain this to my clients also, because a lot of times people think it's very simple. It's not simple. It's a lot of dynamics. There's a lot of variables in play. So, and you come down here, you've got free will, you've got a culture, you've got a family, you've got events. All these things are thrown at you, and now you have to navigate through that. And that's what makes it, really a very, very tough school down here on Earth.
it's a school, all right. We're going to take a little break now for a couple seconds, but you know what? When we come back, we're going to talk about a couple of things that we're going to actually start right from where we are right now, because there was a couple of questions that I did have from before. I'm looking at my emails over here, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I got that story. Mike.
Yes, Bob.
Okay, where were we?
Well, we were talking about people who have no empathy. And then we were talking about people going into the spiritual sessions and coming out a little more awakened, a little more enlightened.
I tell you something, though, too. There's another thing about those sessions, too. And I had brought this up in that before. People have told me, clairvoyance and everything else, that we go to a place, like I've had an NDE, the last couple of guests that were on here had NDEs. You go into a place in it where, and I never went through the light, so I don't know this part, but they did. You're actually shown where you were, who you were, what you did, what your plan was.
Right.
You don't think at that point you get shown where you're going, but they will show you your life. Like coming on a I don't know, a guest show. This is your life.
Yeah, they'll do a life review. Absolutely. After you get done with your life, when you go up to the spirit world, you always have a life review. And they took a look at how you grew and how perhaps you didn't grow. And, maybe you're going to do some more work. The thing is, though, what I always tell my clients is it's never judgment. It's very important. It's always done in love. It's a very important aspect.
So I'll survive that one, huh?
You will survive it. We all will survive it.
I'm serious. It's like, I'm thinking to myself, really. Come on. Have you ever thought about your life when you were a little kid and you were in grade school? How many things could you change in a tip of your tongue? How many things could you change in a second if you could? If you could go back and do it again.
Oh, you mean if you had to go back and do it all again?
Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah. Everybody would change things. That's the beauty of it, right? The thing is, you're supposed to make mistakes, because if you don't make mistakes, you don't learn. So, hindsight's always 20/20, but they don't want us to have that hindsight. They want us to, navigate the life and move forward and make our mistakes and learn.
I don't know. I just don't. Look, whoever those guys are. Wherever they are or whatever, they're brilliant, I know that. But the point that I don't get is, why don't they give you the tool to make what you got to do? Just think about what I'm thinking about. The whole humanity could get, like wiggling a nose, get better if we knew what we did wrong.
Well, you mean as a human here, if you had a memory of what you did wrong?
Yeah, every single human that walks, if we only knew how we could change things and not screw up what we've already screwed up, or keep screwing up what we already screwed up, if we could do that, everything would get better.
Right. So the thing is, you do know that in your spirit, in your soul, when it comes down. So when your soul comes in and says and integrates with your body, it says, I've got the following things to do. But the reason why we don't have that memory here is because when we do come down here from a human perspective, we're given that amnesia, because if we didn't have amnesia, we would be robotic. And the premise would be, if I knew what it is I had to work on specifically, and I didn't have my free will, I didn't have trial and error, then why come down and incarnate? I could just stay in the astral or the spirit world and just do my work up there. So the human experience is all about coming down here and learning and making mistakes and doing all that stuff. It's a very, very tough school. And so here on Earth, this is what it's all about.
Yeah, so one of the guests that was on here said this is hell. So, I mean, I'm serious. I mean, come on. You go to church or something like that and they tell you you're going to burn in hell. Well, okay, so it's not as hot, but it's like I cannot consider this being heaven.
No, Earth is not heaven. I mean, I don't subscribe to it being hell. I subscribe to Earth being a very, very tough school.
Purgatory. All right, purgatory. I'll give it that much.
Purgatory. Okay. It's a tough school. It just really is. Souls come here because they're able to accelerate their soul's development and their learning rapidly when they come to Earth. It gets accelerated. They can go to other planets, they can go to other places, and they can learn. But if you really, really want to go to the School of Hard Knocks, you come to planet Earth.
Oh, man.
This is where the action is, Bob.
Yeah, it's really, when you say it that way, that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. It really is. And I know we don't like it. And, our job right now, based upon the input that I'm getting back from clients and my own experiences, the souls that are here now are in a position to move the planet forward into a higher vibrational state so that, we kind of shake off a lot of the stuff that we're seeing right now. A lot of the darkness and the evil and all that stuff, all the hard stuff. So we're in a place right now where we're trying to make it a better place.
Yeah, I got something I got to send you. Boy, I tell you, it'll shock you. But the other part of that whole conversation, which is absolutely true, by the way, it's the part that we're talking about the rising or the frequencies going up or raising our own vibrations net to come to another dimension. I think that this is all the stuff that I talked about, us not knowing where we came from or not knowing our purpose and everything else. I think that's actually going to come to being years ahead from now, maybe 100 years from now. It's going to be we're going to be so aware. It's going to be ridiculous.
Right. Well, everything goes through phases, right? We're going through a phase. Everything is a phase. We have seasons. We go through spring, summer, fall, winter. Everything's a phase. The body goes through phases. We age. So the Earth is no different. The solar system is no different. The galaxy is no different. So we're going through this phase. And you're absolutely right. It's going to be time down the line where we're going to be in a position where we understand everything.
Yeah, there's going to be, the nice thing about it, too, and is we've got this closed thing going on right now.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, once that really, really goes into hyperspeed, I think all of our thoughts and all of our spiritual side of our thoughts and energies are going to go with it.
Yes. Yep.
And because that's another door to open up. It's education. It's another door of knowledge.
And it's all about knowledge and wisdom, and then moving to love. That's really what it's all about. And some people hear that and they think, oh, that's foo-foo stuff. But you know what? I mean, how much better would the planet be if everybody got into those places and spaces where they got into wisdom and they got into love? I mean, this would be a much better place to inhabit.
Yeah, plus or minus the Vatican.
Yeah, Vatican. Well, that's we won't get into that. It's not really a spiritual place.
Oh, we had people on about that the other day too, and it's funny though because you had the Pope, which is supposed to be, and there's a book out. They wrote the book. The people I had on, the last Pope. Yeah. I mean, okay, so if this is the last Pope, where do we go from now? Not Obama. He's out of there.
Right.
So who are you going to put up? Who are you going to put up against whomever to run this country? You've already went through the whole gamut. You've had the best and the worst over the last I would say 30 years.
Well, you never know what they have up their sleeve. I mean, it's one of those things where there's a lot of surmising about what the next steps are, that type of thing there. But the people that are in power right now, what we talked about before, why do they suppress? Well, they suppress because they want that control, they want that power. So, even if it's the last Pope, I mean, there'll be something that they're going to put in place in which to maintain that power and that control. It's up to humanity to step back and say, we're not accepting this anymore. We're not
yes.
right? And that's what it comes down to. And so far, it's been a slow go trying to get humanity to get up off their butts and do that.
Right. See, now you sound like me. getting to that part of sounding like me, and that you're a musician.
Yes.
And I went through your whole album.
Did you
pretty
like
cool
it?
Stuff. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. And then I went into, I forget what the website was now, but if anybody wants to know how to listen to his album, you get little songs, there's singles of the songs and that for free. Just write to Bob Charles Show at live.com and I'll send you the link in that so you can listen to the album. A lot of stuff is based on John Lennon, it sounds like.
Yeah, I was, growing up, I really started playing guitar when I was about 15 or so, and I was a huge Beatle freak growing up, and I really studied their songwriting techniques and the craftsmanship behind the songwriting, and especially their production. And so, growing up and playing, I just always had that tucked away in the back of my mind. So whenever I, would play a song, write a song, or record a song, people would always come back and say, man, it sounds kind of Beatlesque, But I was a huge Lennon fan and a huge George Harrison fan because, Lennon, because of his just his wherewithal of what was going on in the world. I mean, he just was unbelievable that way. He was so aware, even at such a young age. And then, I really respected George Harrison's work because, George spoke about things like spirit and spirituality, and he talked about creation, and he sang about it in his songs, and he took a lot of knocks for it. But, at the end of the day, I mean, he wrote some very beautiful songs, and he was a little bit ahead of his time also.
Yeah, I got to see them in, between 64 and 65 at Shea Stadium.
Oh, okay.
And they went to Forest, I forget what they call the place over there, Forest Hills?
Forest Hills, yeah.
And saw them over there.
Oh, okay. Oh.
And so, I saw them when they had the gray suits on with the thing with the velvet around the collar.
Yeah. Yep, the old stuff, yep.
I even had the suit.
Did you really?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I would fit that.
And the boots.
I'm only teasing.
It was the time. What can I tell you? I mean, let's face it. I was saying peace and love in '69 and marching across the George Washington Bridge in 1969. So
good for you. I mean, I'm still doing it, Bob. I'm still talking to people about. I mean, the tagline, the narrative I have on my website for the album is Truth, Peace, and Love. And I just put it out there. I don't care. I'm sick and tired of music. It's not talking about truth. It's not talking about peace and love. I'm tired of music that is drilling down on violence and degrading women and stuff like that. So I said it was time, to put something out there. And it's my bit of the action. It's not going to be a groundbreaker type of thing. But I wanted to put some music out there that talked about good stuff, talked about love. It talked about some of the problems in the world.
I think that just coming from me, because I was a writer too, and a singer and a guitar player and everything. I mean, let's face it, I did it for like almost 30 years.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Oh yeah, my history was around the world a couple of times. The things that we did at that time, and the things that we're listening in your album. And that are things that kind of remind people. I mean, it kind of resets their minds.
Right.
To listen to the music. I mean, it's like the show. I mean, if you listen to the show, you're not going to hear another show out there that sounds like this one because I don't think anybody has the guts to do it.
Right.
Either that or somebody tells them they can't do it.
Right, but it's exactly right, Bob. You're making a great analogy. It's reaching out and saying, look, I don't really care about what everybody else thinks or what the mainstream is doing, that type of thing there. I'm going to break through. I'm going to break through the paradigms, and I'm going to put something out there. And because I want people to hear it. I want people to listen. In the case of your show, I want people to listen, and I want people to learn and get educated and to start to understand what's really going on and what really is true.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, you can do that. I mean, but you have to have an attitude that, like, hey, this is what you're going to do. Positive, 100% positive energy.
Right.
Positive thoughts. That's how you go through this. And it's like when we started, at the 7 months or 8 months into this show, and from last June, and in June, I think 24th or something like that, we're a year old. And about the 7 months, we were already in over 80 countries.
Wow. Okay.
From zero.
Yep.
Most people, most shows, it takes them anywhere between 0 and 7 years to get close.
Well, that's because you're talking about things. There's a hunger for this stuff. See, the mainstream wants everybody to believe that nobody cares about this stuff. Well, who cares about pyramids? Well, a lot of people do. You know? Who cares about crystal skulls? Well, a lot of people do. So you're putting yourself out there, and, you know, there's a thirst for this, and people are responding to it, which I think is terrific.
There's some people out in California. It was really funny. I got an email from somebody out there in L.A. saying they didn't even know what a ley line was. They thought it was something in a sex magazine.
or something Eric Clapton sang about, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yep, the ley lines. Very, very important, and, you know, people don't know about the ley lines. But like I said, more and more people are learning about it because of shows like yours.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was a good thing. But, no, okay. Now we went through, that was the other thing that I wanted to ask you. Where did you get the idea for that album? I know from the background maybe you got it from there, but there had to be an idea because it specifically goes in one direction.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, what happened was it was a cumulative effect. You know, all the work that I'm doing in the spiritual space and helping people with hypnosis, and, you know, I am a musician, and also I'm a researcher, and I spend a lot of time trying to figure out what's going on in the world, what is the truth, that type of thing there. And, you know, as you know, it can be very frustrating when you are trying to talk to people and to call certain things out to awaken them. Hey, take a look at, you know, the stuff in the skies, right? I mean, does that look normal to you? And people shut down. So I decided, I said, you know what, if I put it through music, and people like the music, they like the beat, you know, they like the lyrics, that type of thing there, perhaps I can get some minds changed that way too, because now I'm delivering the message in a less confrontational way. It's less in their face. It's kind of like they can do it on their own time, listening to it in your CD player or whatever it may be. Because you listen to the CD on Spotify and Django. It's out there. It's on iTunes. And so I figured, let me try that approach, you know. And that's a big reason as to why I did it.
And how about, all right, now with that out of the way, let's go, now I'm going to reset you. Let's go to where you are. Imagine Hypnotics. Now you do the music and everything else, plus you got Imagine Hypnotics.
Yes.
So you're doing both things. See, I wasn't that crazy when I was doing this kind of stuff. I mean, I used to do one thing and then something completely different on the other hand.
Right.
At the same time. But if you really, really want to connect the dots, they both take more or less heavy-duty thinking.
Oh, yeah.
To do it.
Yeah, a lot of dedication.
Yes, both sides. Where is that in North Carolina?
Where's Imagine Hypnotics?
Yeah.
It's in Raleigh. It's actually, I'm in a small town called Fuquay Varina, but it's within the Raleigh city limits. And so I basically service the Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill areas, what we call the Triangle. But I have clients that come in from other states. I've had clients come in from Virginia, from South Carolina, and, you know, but typically most of my clients come from North Carolina.
All right, so they're more or less local.
Yeah, pretty local. Yep. But like I said, I do get my share of folks that come in from you know, the nearby states.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start more or less aiming at North Carolina when I put out the archives and things.
Okay.
So they can listen to the show in that a little bit, because there's a lot of people up there, I'm sure, that are within a driving distance of your place that they really, really should give it a shot. I mean, they should at least call up in it and find out what's going on. There's plenty of places that you can get information just by going to the websites, which are imaginehypnotics.com.
Yes.
Is that? No, it's not tough. You just go on there and you find out all kinds of stuff about past life regression, life between lives. Well, what about the Reiki part of it, Ned? Are you seeing a lot of clients in healing?
With Reiki, yes. I mean, I major on the hypnosis piece of it. Reiki is a smaller part of my practice, Bob. But I do get the occasional client to come in. A lot of people don't know what Reiki is, which is unfortunate, because it's so healing and it's so good for the mind, body, and the spirit. But it's a piece that, to be honest with you, I do. I'm a Reiki master, but the hypnosis aspect of my practice just takes up so much time. So I do the Reiki where I can, but I major on the hypnosis piece of it.
But you know it, so that's even better.
Yep.
That's even better. And let's face it, I mean, if not a lot of people that are coming in for the past life regression, you can always do the other one. How many people now, do you see how many, I don't know how many there are up there and that going up, but so many people are putting up massage places. They're all over the place.
Yes, they are all over the place, yes.
Yeah, it's getting like, I don't know how many women are out there listening, but let's face it, I mean, all you guys have to have your nails done, so you go to a nail place, and there's one on every, it's like, years ago, there used to be a bar on every corner. That was for the guys. Then the women took over. Now they took the bars, they turned them into nail places, so now there's a nail place on every corner. Now, some Chinese guy in there came in, and now they're all massage parlors.
Yeah, they are springing up. That's funny you should mention that because I noticed that myself.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed it because I went down one road down here that goes right down, well, it's Folly Road down there, and as you come off one highway into the other one, there's a massage place, and then you go down a little bit further, and there's what do they call the one little ones with the little needles?
Like an acupuncture place?
Yes.
Okay.
There's one of those.
Yeah.
But they do massages.
Yeah. Well, I mean.
Then you go a little bit further down, there's another one. And it's like, hey, I can't go to them all at the same time.
Well, look, to me, I look at it as a good thing because acupuncture, obviously, is a it's a wonderful holistic modality, and massage is the same thing. As long as the place is reputable. I mean, but all of these things that we're seeing now, acupuncture, we're seeing feet massage, we're seeing hypnosis, we're seeing Reiki work, all that stuff is really good stuff. It's only going to benefit the person and their spirit.
Well, we are going to close down the show, the end of our day. However, you definitely, like usual, you got to come back again. This night, this is too crazy because I mean, even the chat box. Usually, I see a lot of stuff and I come up here with chats, but I know I can see on the bottom that people are on their keyboards. They're just not saying anything. And John in Australia is typing right now, so they'll probably be on something on there in a second.
Okay. Well, Bob, it's always wonderful being on the show, so I really appreciate you having me on. That's
a lot, fellow musician.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. When I talk to you again, I'll probably talk to you by Monday, and I will tell you the rest of the story.
Okay. Looking forward to it.
Wouldn't want to tell everybody, right?
Right.
All right, Mike. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you on Monday.
All right, Bob. Talk to you soon.